Let me tell you about a friend of mine who went beyond the words of his personal mission statement, and he created a plan to make it a reality. So he went through the process that I described in the first video, and he discovered his personal mission, and he could state it clearly. And then this is what he did because he was confident of his personal mission. He closed his church plant, which wasn't going all that great, maybe because it wasn't God's design and plan for him. And then he moved into outdoor student ministries. Now he's feeling fulfilled and empowered to live his personal mission, what God had called him to. You see, he didn't just come up with a personal mission statement, but he went beyond that, beyond those words, and he created a plan to make it a reality. So now, if you have not yet discovered your personal mission or been able to write it out and clarify what it is, this video is probably premature. But if you have, that's fantastic. That's step number one. But so what? It will be meaningless unless you create a plan to make it a reality. So in this video, the second of a three-part video series, which I'm calling How to Be a Purposeful Leader and Live Your Mission, I'm going to give you 5 key steps to go beyond the words, to begin to make your personal mission a reality. This is number 1. Review it daily. Write down your personal mission statement in at least one location so that you will see it and read it every single day. For instance, I'm one of those guys that journals on my computer, okay? It's just easier for me. But one advantage of that is that I have written on my screen to look at every single day my personal mission. I get to see it. I get to think about it. I get to pray through it, process it. It's actually a part of my personal creed. And developing your personal creed, that's for another video. I think it's a great, helpful tool. But within that is my personal mission statement that I read every single day. It's right there in front of me. Multiply disciple-making leaders. Okay, so right now, where will you put your personal mission statement so you will look at it every single day? And here's a hint where it should be. Not in some place where you're on the go, but a place where you can stop and look at it and read it and think through it and pray through it. Yep, and that's number 2. Number 2 is this: pray through it daily. First of all, thank God for redeeming you, for saving you, and also for calling you to his purpose for your life and ministry. Let me remind you of what I shared in the very first video. Jesus says in John 15:16, he says this. He says, "You did not choose me, but I chose you, and I appointed you to go and produce fruit, and that your fruit should remain, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he will give it to you." You see, God has declared that he intends you to bear fruit. Our job, faithfulness. His job, fruitfulness. So as you pray, ask the Lord, Lord, what would faithfulness to my calling look like today? And God, I'm going to trust you with the fruit that this labor will produce. So help me stay true to your calling in my life. May your priorities be my priorities. Then write those things down somewhere. What would faithfulness look like today to my personal mission statement? Number 3 is this: develop a new filter of when to say yes and when to say no. You see, you want to develop a lifestyle of saying yes to the things that God has for you, those things that are a part of your true north, like I mentioned in the first video, and not your magnetic north, those things that you're motivated somehow in some way into wanting to please others by maybe comparing yourself to somebody else or wanting to be somebody you're not supposed to be. Rather, to be focused on what God has called you to be and to do. So look at this verse over my shoulder, okay? 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 13. This is actually a part of my personal creed that I read every single day. He says, "You've been bought with a price. Now that price is the blood of Jesus. And so we are not our own. We belong to him. And so he says, so do not become slaves of men." Now, here's the reality. Until you are willing to pay the price of disappointing others, you will be a people pleaser and not a God pleaser. The last part of Philippians 1:10 says, if I were still trying to please men, I would not be a servant of Christ. As I said in the first video, trust him with the design that he has for your life and ministry. In this, God will be most glorified, you will be most fulfilled, and your ministry will be most blessed. Let's make this practical. Look again at your mission statement. Then look at your job description. How closely do these two things align? Now, for most church and ministry leaders, you're not going to have 100%. There's some things that are maybe a part of your job description, which might not be at the top of your priority list. But is there a huge overlap between those two? And then, secondly, are you taking on anything that you should not be taking on? This involves, taking a hard look at your calendar. And I encourage you, take a look at the last 4 weeks. What would you have not done if you had been faithful to your personal mission? And then what should you have said yes to? What should you have done had you been faithful to your personal mission? Now, let me tell you what I mean, what I don't mean. What I don't mean is don't be uncaring or unwilling to simply be a servant. There's a lot of things that are about leadership that are they need to be done. But let me give you an example. In this past month or so, I've watched a campus pastor of over 2,000 change out a full garbage bag at an event where there's food, totally appropriate, and not neglecting his calling. However, let's just say he feels burdened to keep track of the cash balance day to day and finds himself poring over the invoices, the bills, the expenses. Well, for a church of over 2,000, that should be somebody else's job. Sure, he may enjoy it. He may feel a burden of responsibility, and maybe he needs to oversee it, but the actual accounting needs to be handed off to someone else. That's what I mean. So, do you see any patterns then from your calendar? Any categories? What kind of things that should be included in your new filter of saying yes to and no to? Write those down. Pray through those. Ask God to help you to be faithful to saying yes to those things and saying no to those other things. Now, let's go on to number 4. And number 4 is going to take a significant amount of time. And again, that's why I included the PDF notes in the description below. Okay, now this is number 4, and that is to develop a personal growth plan. I'm going to take some screenshots so you can actually see what that download looks like and lay it out for you. Okay, developing a personal growth plan is, I'm here, but I want to get here. Now, what is it going to take? What are some critical growth areas that's going to help me make progress towards living out my personal mission? So what you're going to do is you're going to identify 3, maybe 4 at the most, critical growth areas. These CGAs, critical growth areas, encompass the area of your life where if you grow in these areas, you're going to be more and more faithful to God's call in your life. Now, what will be helpful at this point is to read through your 2 or 3 implications, again, that you work through in the video number 1, that come out of your personal mission statement. All right, here's some examples of what a CGA then could look like. For example, I might have a CGA that says, I want to grow a disciple-making culture in our church. Fantastic. Now, so you've identified one of your CGAs. Now, for each one of those CGAs, you're also going to create a vision statement. Again, going back to that example of growing a disciple-making culture in our church. The vision statement might be something like this. All our church ministries will revolve around the same disciple-making language, values, vision, and practices. Okay, then next is to identify necessary steps that will help to make these vision statements a reality. These will be specific and measurable to get there, and they always should include some type of a prayer action step. We need the Lord to make these things happen. Unless the Lord builds a house, those who labor, labor in vain. Now, possible things to consider when creating these action steps might be something like resources, like maybe books or podcasts or blogs. It might quite possibly could also include people, maybe an individual, like a mentor who is living this out very well. Let's go back to our example. Now, what could some action steps look like? Number 1, invite someone from the outside to help us assess our current church culture. By the way, Navigators Church Ministries, which I'm a part of, we have probably over 100 different people who could help you do this. Steps number 2, pray about and identify maybe 5 to 7 others who would join me in recreating our culture. Number 3, this is where maybe a prayer action step appears. Fast and pray every Monday about who should be on this team, that there might be unity on this team, clear direction on this team. That's something worthwhile to pray for. And then number 4, that action step could be find the resources or a mentor to help coach us to recreate our culture. Now, lastly, for each one of these CGAs, you're going to identify someone who will hold you accountable for each one of them. You might say, well, my wife might be a great accountability partner because she's probably getting tired of me complaining about our church culture. She'll be motivated to hold me accountable in that. All right. Okay, now number 5, when it comes to creating a plan to make your personal mission a reality, step number 5 is this. Make it show up in your calendar. For instance, Tuesday, 9 to 11, I'm going to create a document that describes the expectations of anyone who will be on or part of this disciple-making cultural core team. That makes sense, doesn't it? It's taking your plan, your CGA, and then putting it on your calendar. Thursday, 1 to 3 p.m., find a person to help us assess our current culture. Again, taking the CGA plan and putting it in your calendar. Weeks later, every Monday and Friday, schedule morning coffees with individual core team members that you've already identified, prayed through, and now are part of that team to check in for accountability, to help you evaluate how things are going. You see, taking that CGA and make it a reality in your calendar. Fantastic, well done. You're well on your way, but you're not quite done yet. You'll also want to watch video number 3, which is how to resist mission drift by building lifelong habits that will help you stay true to your personal ministry calling. Okay. All right. So until next time, let's make more disciples.